Hello and welcome to the Building PA podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, John O'Brien, coming to you from the Keystone Contractors Association, headquartered right here in the great town of Dillsburg, Pennsylvania. Little slice of Americana right here. So life is good here, life is cold here, and life is better here because I get to see my good friend Chris on the screen. So Chris, what's going on, brother?
Hey, John, how are you, man?
I'm doing all right.
I can't wait to see you face to face. I know it's been a while,
It
and
has.
we're back in the studio today, right?
We're back, baby.
We're back. Here we come. Watch out.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
as John mentioned, my name is Chris Martin, and I am president of Atlas Marketing. And you've heard me say it again, and I'll probably say it many more times. We tell stories for companies that build things.
Nice.
And I'm coming to you from the lovely little village of Sewickley out in Western Pennsylvania. And joining us today is a fellow Western Pennsylvanian, just like John used to be. But we'll give John. We're going to give you that memorial. You're still
Okay.
a Western Pennsylvania guy.
I still come back from time to time.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah.
It's that boomerang effect we all love so much. But with us today is the president or vice president of Carl Walker Construction. Great all-around guy, Greg Heddaeus. Greg, thanks for joining us.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Going on, Greg? It's been a while. Hope all's good.
How you been, John? Good to see you.
I've been good. I've been good. Real good.
Yeah. So everybody knows Carl Walker does one thing really, really well, and that's parking garages. And I have a little bit of the inside track simply because, full disclosure, Carl Walker is a client of Atlas Marketing. But the aspect of Greg joining us today is to talk about that specialization and what it means to the industry, what it means to his company and the future of the company. But I also know that you do a little bit more than just parking garages. You do a lot of maintenance and repair. So I don't know why I'm talking. Greg, why don't you tell us what's going on? Because nobody wants to listen to me, so I apologize.
Yeah, I mean it's simple. We build and repair parking garages. We've broken down into three divisions. We build new garages. We currently have 4 in the works right now. We're a 28-year-old company. We've built almost 65 parking garages from New York through Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, Maryland. Built one in South Carolina once on a wild whim. And then we have another division that repairs parking garages and does waterproofing. We're housed here locally in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And then we have 2 branch offices, one in Charleston, West Virginia, and one in Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey. And then we have a third division, which is our specialty division, where we take specializing in concrete and parking garages and drill it down a little bit further. But we basically take all of our specialties from building and repairing garages, and we turn those into other concrete infrastructure items. So we do a lot of stadium work, a lot of bridges. We've done a couple dams, some structural strengthening stuff. Things that kind of fall out of parking garages fall into our specialty division.
Cool. So
and I know.
Go ahead, Chris.
Go ahead, John. Go ahead. I'm sorry. We do that all the time. You can tell we've been out of practice.
I know we haven't done an interview in like a month here, so we just. No, I think I was going to ask Chris's question, so I feel you go ahead, Chris.
Oh, great! Put me on the spot, man.
Yeah.
So, Greg, you talk about the setup of the company, but what I really find interesting about your business is that you are a construction company and you understand the construction process, but you really solely focus on that one aspect. Can you tell us a little bit about that specialization and what it means to the company and kind of how you got to that point and kind of the realization?
Yeah, I think it helps to start with the beginning of Carl Walker Construction. So Carl Walker was an engineer who, out of Kalamazoo, Michigan, he really focused on parking garage repairs. So he started his engineering companies and realized that people needed a faster turnaround to construction from engineering. So people would call, say, either I have an emergency, I need to get it repaired now. And that kind of started the whole design build process in the world. And then also, hey, I have an immediate need. Say a school had a large increase of faculty or students, and they needed to increase parking quickly. They couldn't go through 6 months of design, and then 2 months of bidding, and then 2 months of permitting. So he decided to start a construction company, and he started it here in Pittsburgh. John, I think you remember Dave Monroe. I think you guys worked together at the NBA here in PA, in Western PA. So Dave Monroe was one of them. He was kind of the business focused guy, marketing, kind of tackling some big projects. And then the two guys that outlet or went 50-50 for the majority of the time that I was here were Len Trupus and Joe White. And Leonard built parking garages his whole life. He has a Dick Corporation background in Mulock Structures, which was an old parking garage. If you ever seen those castellated beams with the big holes in them around Pittsburgh, that's what they built. And then Joe White, who worked for a couple different companies, master builders. I think he worked for Western at one point in time, but a lot of concrete repair, waterproofing. So they brought this group together, and from a very early stage, it was Carl Walker's vision to stay focused on parking garages. And that's why he found those two guys. And Dave Monroe had a parking garage background as well. So really all three of them were just focused on parking garages. And and that's why we kept the Carl Walker name. There's a couple engineering firms out there that we share the name with, but everybody who knows parking garages or owns a parking garage, who's had to deal with parking garage repairs or try to build one, knows that name really well. So we've always kept the name, and we're really proud of that name because it means so much in this industry. As far as what specializing means to us and why we've kind of stayed on that path, specializing does one thing really well, and it keeps you focused. We're always focused on parking garage work. Is it a new build parking garage, restoration parking garage? All the noise and everything else that comes around from being a general contractor doesn't affect us anymore. So somebody could call in here and say, hey, I want to build a storage facility or one of these big, beautiful buildings downtown, high rise with a bunch of glass and commercial space, whatever. And it's not in our wheelhouse. So one, people know that, so we don't have to field a bunch of calls and waste a bunch of time telling people no. And so our lead generation is really pretty direct and forward. If it's not a parking garage, then we don't touch it. Mm-hmm. And we don't get a lot of, like I said, noise around people trying to pull us in different directions. Mm-hmm. The other thing I love about it is it allows us, and this from doing a lot of our research and outreach, but it allows us to stay really passionate. When you are a general and you do everything, it's hard to be passionate about everything, right? Just by the definition of passion. So it allows us to be passionate. We hear that from all of our clients, that we're very passionate about doing the right thing, making sure that the repairs that we're performing or how we're building a garage is correct and is going to stand the test of time. And so focus and passion and keeping us organized and on the path of parking garage only is been really beneficial to us.
Okay, so 28 years you've been around, right?
Yep.
And I'm sure over the 28 years you've touched a lot of clients, a lot of customers, hopefully repeat clients. Everyone strives for repeat clients in this industry. And by repeat, I'm assuming they're satisfied with your work, as they should be.
Yep.
Do they approach you? Is it tough saying no to a repeat client? And they say, we had such an enjoyable experience, such a great, we're so satisfied. Jump out of your lane one time, help us build X, whatever X is. And is it tempting to say no there? And I'll just leave it there. I had more question, but I'll ask later.
Yeah. To be honest, I could
Yeah.
probably count on one hand as many times as that's happened.
Oh, really? Okay.
They know that we're going to stay within our lane.
Okay.
We have a lot of great relationships with other people in the industry, and we're happy to refer out to people that we know can perform these other scopes of work. Most recently, I think I had someone ask me after I finished the concrete repairs, there was tile on top that they wanted to replace, and they wanted us to self-perform it. And I said, we don't do tile, but here's a list of 3 companies that do tile and do it well. So here you go. So we demoed this big full depth area, put it back together. And at the end of the day, they went out and hired somebody else to put the tile down to finish off the space. So it doesn't happen as much as you think. Repeat clients are huge for us, though. We generally do not say no to them. Again, it's within our wheelhouse.
Yeah. Okay. So part 2 to that now about staying in your lane here. 28 years, you've seen some economic downturns. Are you tempted there at all? Like 2008, 2009, the work's slowing down, and we got to keep this machine running here at work here. We need some work, like everyone else needed work. So
yeah. So I think that's a great question for the times that we're in, for anybody who's been following the news lately. We currently have backlog for about the next 2 years.
Nice.
I hate using this term, but I think it fits. Our restoration division is almost recession proof. What I was talking to somebody about yesterday was, if a piece of concrete falls from one of your buildings due to freeze thaw, due to corrosion of the reinforcing, anything that could happen, you're not going to not fix it because we're in a recession. You may just only fix that one area. So a lot of our business now on the repair side is cause and effect. So, the rebar corroded, a piece of concrete fell, it landed on, Mrs. Smith or Mr. Smith's car. We got to fix it. Now what we'll do is we'll go back to the cause and say, okay, it happened because you had a waterproofing issue up here. Let's fix that, then fix the repair. And now we know it won't happen again. In a recession, what we see is people opt to not fix the cause, fix the repair, kick that can down the road until there's more money available or more funding available, and then come back and do that repair. On the new build side, we see big downturns just like anybody does. You can just count cranes in the sky 2 years ago versus, a year from now, 2 years from now, if this recession ever hits. But that's why we like having these different divisions that still focused on the same lane, but do completely different things. So when development goes away and when, that big spending goes away because interest rates go up, because of inflation, because of anything, the design build, new build market kind of, tapers off. We keep a lot of irons in the fire, but then the restoration division takes over and, pays the bills, keeps the lights on, and continues us moving forward.
Yeah, it's a smart business approach too. Greg, what are some of the trends you're seeing in parking garages right now?
One of the biggest is EV stations. We're building a garage currently. I think 3 years ago or something, we saw 5 EV stations. Planned for 5 total EV stations. Now we're building an 800 car garage, and there's capacity within the power to have 100, 1/8 of the spots be EV charging stations. That's huge. Car counting systems are getting really big. Anything that can make a garage more efficient and more user-friendly. We tell everybody that it's really like the front door to your campus, to your mall, to whatever. The first thing that you're going to see is a parking garage. You don't let your car park itself yet and just walk in the front door of the mall. You park your car in the garage and then go into the mall. So, or the campus or the office building, whatever. So anything that can make your patrons, your tenants, your students get to the spot faster with less brain power has been on a big uptick. They've got new systems out there that work within the lights, that have some cameras that can show you empty spaces, directional arrows that light up green and red to point you in different directions. As far as technology from the concrete world itself, most of the repair materials have pretty much stayed the same. There's some newer technologies coming out with waterproofing. Overall, the repair tactics and the construction tactics that we've used really haven't changed. The other big thing in construction, not within parking garages, is everything's electronic now. We're probably the last ones to leave the Stone Age behind and get all of our guys iPads and make sure that all of our drawings, all of our productivity, accounting systems, onboarding, everything's online now, which makes everything much simpler, gives everybody time back in their day.
So it's interesting. I know I was in over the summer driving on vacation, and you mentioned that car counting system. It was really cool. I remember I'm driving down there, and it literally above there was a spot, and there was an arrow pointing to that spot, and I didn't notice it, but my daughter in the back seat said, "Dad, there's a spot right there," and I'm thinking to myself, "My God, how did we ever survive without having an arrow telling us where to park?" It was amazing. But like, to put it into perspective, it literally, like you said, it made that experience so much easier, because all I had to do was just follow the green line, and boom, there's the spot. And man, it was true to its call, and off we went. It was really cool. It was just an interesting thing that I never would have thought of, as there. So yeah.
Now think of that same thing with Christmas shopping, and every available spot is full. It's a huge value add. It may be the difference between I'll use some local landmarks, but going to Galleria Mall or South Hills Village Mall, or Ross Park versus South Hills Village. If you know that you can find a spot easily, get in the store quickly and get done what you need to get done, it makes a difference.
Nice.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. And then as far as trends go, do you see the overall trend of being a specialized contractor increasing or decreasing over your time in the industry?
Definitely increasing, John. That's a great question. We just did a study the other day just from our sales side, just curious. Every year we kind of review where we've been and where we're going, and one of the larger things is the contract size of these projects are getting bigger. So an average deal for us on a new build was like 400 cars. Most of what we're building right now is upwards of 800 cars. On the repair side, just from like a dollar value, our average repair contract was somewhere between like 200,000-300,000, and we do anywhere between 30 and 60 of those a year. Now we have projects that are in the 10, 15, $20 million range. They're getting a lot bigger. The average, I think, right now for us is about 5 million on the restoration side. So there's a huge jump there. I don't know what to credit that to. I think money was really cheap for a really long time, so people were getting those things done. I love personally when, between party lines, I don't care who you are. If you start talking about infrastructure, there's a trickle down right to our company. We're not building the Fern Hollow Bridge, but when it falls and people start talking about our aging infrastructure, a garage is no different than a bridge. It's just a bunch of bridges stacked next to each other that you stay on more permanently than traverse across. Mm-hmm. So there's a big push for these companies to spend money and get their garages up to speed and safe. Another thing I think is really kind of pushed concrete repairs and well-built construction out into the face of everyone was the condominium collapse in Miami. Loss of life, lots and lots of money lost, insurance claims, lawyers, everything. I haven't read every single report about it, but knowing what I know about concrete repairs and construction, it can be avoided. That doesn't have to happen. You can repair that structure. You can repair any structure, and get it done correctly. So I think those couple factors have really helped. Cheap money, government politicians talking about infrastructure spending and having some big newsworthy collapses.
Yeah. Another question I have for you, Greg. I read an article just the other day that in France, and for that loan downloader in France, thank you, keep downloading. We love it.
Yes.
They actually put a bill out that I don't quote me on the years, but like in the next 10 years, they're going to every parking garage or parking lot over a certain number, like let's say it's over 100 cars, is going to have solar panels over it. Is that something one? I'm knowing you guys, I know you could do that, but is that another trend that you're utilizing in that space for energy and other aspects?
Yeah, they're great properties for solar capacity because of a lot of things. One, it's a big open space. So when you get like a solar report, there are typically no trees higher than our garages. You have the columns that come up anyway to put your light poles on and make it safe on the roof level. So now you can just take, a structural steel system above and put solar panels on. I saw one in New Jersey the other day where they put solar panels up and then they gasketed all the solar panels and made it a roof. People tend to park not outdoors, so they want to park inside where they're not going to get snow, rain, not have to walk in with their bags, their briefcase in the snow or the rain. So they like to park, downstairs where there's a roof level garage above them. So now you just turned your roof level of the garage into more covered parking, which was, kind of an underserved area in the garages. I thought that was a great idea. Locally here, I know there's 2 or 3 that have that. And listen, if you could just pay your light bill in the garage from the solar panels, then you're doing something great. It kind of goes hand in hand with the EV stations. If you can draw enough power and put EVs, now you're really hitting that green aspect where the electricity is free and you're powering a car 2 floors down and they get to go home for free. So it's I've seen a lot of it. It's really big out east, New York, New Jersey. Almost every garage that is freestanding, it doesn't have a building above it, has solar panels on it.
Pretty cool.
Yep,
it is cool. So let's talk a little workforce here before the interview's over. Being a specialized contractor, does it have any sort of impact on the workforce? Do they like it? I mean, it's pouring concrete,
Yeah.
And then a second part of that is the further you get away from your headquarters, how does that impact you and the workforce? And
so we have a great training program. We call it Carl Walker Construction University. We bring our guys in, do all kinds of hands-on training for what we have to do in the field, as well as safety training, management training, leadership training. That helps. Being specialized does make it more difficult. There's no 2 ways around that. I can't use the carpenter who can, hang drywall and put moldings up and do this fancy interior work out on, my muddy below grade construction site. If they wanted to give it a try, I'm sure they'd be great at it, but it's completely different environment to wearing a t-shirt every day versus, getting down into the hole and getting dirty and putting a raincoat on and not stopping work. But we kind of fill that gap with our training. So by bringing guys in, teaming them up with a mentor who's been with us for 20 years, it really helps to kind of solidify them with the company. We have very low turnover once we get guys through that process. And believe it or not, there are people out there who really enjoy hammering concrete. I got a couple guys that they don't want to show up for the pour days, which is typically the easy day with us. Mm-hmm. They just want to hammer concrete and do production hammering all day long. And these guys, their muscles have muscles. They're so strong.
Yeah.
As we get further away,
no one's ever said that about me. Yeah,
I've never been accused of that either, John. But as we get further away, we do run into some issues. Obviously, New York and New Jersey, we have zero issues. Great union following. We call the hall. They give us guys. They give us really skilled guys. We just did a job in Philly a couple weeks ago. Some of the best cement finishers we've ever had. It was a 2-day hit, and we got some really good guys. We went down to Asheville, North Carolina a couple years ago, and called the laborers hall, and the guy showed up and said, "Man, this was tough. This is a 2.5-hour drive for me." So we knew that. Our first phone call when we get a hold of a new project and we're in that bidding stage is to our halls and say, "How you guys looking? Do you have enough people? Here's the location of the project. Here's what we're going to be doing." And so long as we do that, that kind of helps us make our decision about, if we want to enter into a new city and enter into a new project somewhere. Fortunately for that project, we have about 20% of our people travel nonstop. So when we get a project like that, we know we want to do, we know it's going to be a little bit difficult for the hall to supply in some areas, out in the middle of nowhere. We have our traveling crews that go out there and handle those projects.
Nice.
Well, Greg, I got to tell you, thank you. I knew a lot of this stuff just from all the conversations and work that we've been doing, but I really liked what you said there about being a specialist and how it really has helped your business. And I know there's a lot of equity there in that Carl Walker name, and it goes really far. And you are definitely being that steward, moving it forward. So congratulations to you, and thank you for joining us today. This has been a great conversation.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you both for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Greg.
Thanks, John. It was great seeing you again.
Yeah, good seeing you.